our objective is to have a pathway in Northern Ireland for football for boys that is clear, and it facilitates development. Once they're in the academy here, we try and have a holistic approach where we want players to go into the full-time game, whether that be in the United Kingdom, Ireland, across Europe, wherever that may be. But by doing that, the research told us, and I suppose anecdotally we knew, that a lot of our players who go into the full-time game outside of Northern Ireland, they struggle with the off-pitch stuff more than the on-pitch stuff. So the academy's basically set up there to try and achieve the objectives of players not being exposed to like a full-time environment, living away from home, being exposed to a full-time programme, whether that's training load, whether that's educational days, or whether it's nutrition, whatever. So we're trying to replicate what they would expect when they go into a full-time academy. We plan everything. We have a curriculum. We work on a periodised programme, tactically, physically, and technically. And we always need the plan isn't the be all and end all. It's a framework for us to assess ourselves, and with that we need data, whether that's physical data or data analysis. During games we have to understand what our players are struggling with technically. So we use Performa, post session. So James would come up in video sessions, and we would use it post session to reflect as coaches. Is the session, did it meet its outcomes? Are the players understanding what we're telling them? So we do a little bit with the coaches, and then we'll present back to the players the week after. So within our plan, we have to continuously reflect, retrospectively, but also on the sessions themselves. And we'll bring the iPad onto the pitch, and there is times whenever I feel myself I'm given instruction that's maybe not as clear to the player, because I get that look where I'll show him, and again James will retrospectively after the session give a brief overview of what the session looked like, and again any questions. And we're all human beings, but sometimes we don't like to speak up. But again, if we can reinforce what happened on the pitch with some images and video content after, then it's really, really helpful. And we use the analysis tool on Performa. From a coaching point of view, we have the 7-minute rule. Nothing goes more than 7 minutes, because as human beings our attention span is quite short, and as players we want to be on the pitch. But whilst we highlight that it's a part of the game, that you have to be sort of methodical in yourself, but we also don't really spend more than 7 minutes. So it's important for us that our backroom stuff, that we get exactly what we want to tell them. So we tell them what we want to tell them, and then we tell them again, and then we show them. So it just really gives real clarity on the message. But I suppose ultimately the video with coaching voiceover, with coaching instruction with the video, just paints that picture a little bit better.
So we would record training sessions and their matches, make them available for them to view independently as a group and in one-to-one basis. And Performa lets us do that really easily. We're able to see who views what when, how much of the information they take on board, and it's also a good tool because everyone's got individual learning styles. Some of the players would like to watch a full match from start to finish, others would just want to watch their own individual clips, and others would need maybe a steer into what they're actually looking for, and so that's my job then to prepare them and try and build those life skills. When you're in the situation of training, you're focused on yourself, you're focused on where you are on the pitch. There's even competitive element there, that you're trying to sort of show what you can do and give the best that you can, and that kind of dilutes then maybe the coaching message that's trying to get across. But then having that time away from the competitive element in a time that suits them really adds to, then they can see the whole picture, and not just them, and if they're successful, but why they were successful, and what can they do to repeat that. So Performa's been great for us, because we're able to, the players can just pick it up and use it. So we've used it in the past where players have presented and cut their own clips and presented that back to their to the staff in terms of their own super skills and their own areas for development. So it helps them to really focus and concentrate on their performance and looking back. And it also then creates a video bank of training sessions and games for them always to look in and view and watch back, to try and either motivate them or give them some self-confidence as well. And because it's easily accessible on phone, tablet, laptop, they can do that anywhere.
When I speak to the boys, and Like I seen you see me lecture them slightly, you know, before we come on the pitch. I never do it for my ivory tower, because I've been there and I've lived that, and I've, you know, certain things that I struggle with. I hope that I can reinforce and help within the programme. What I didn't have was, when I went into full-time football, I came from an amateur environment into full-time football blind, and I couldn't get my head around that this was a job and that this happened. I always pictured football as my dream, and whenever I had to, you know, train every day, and I was finished training early, and I didn't know how to really utilise my time, and that was all probably due to not having the exposure in Northern Ireland before. Whereas now, that's exactly what this academy is. It's to expose our players of what full-time football looks like, and the nutrition, the fitness, the analysis, the education, the real harsh, you know, loading the mentality in this academy exposes them. Now, we're all human beings, and we try to make it as fun as possible, but as we say, education's important. There's a nice balance, but ultimately this programme's a football programme, and the boys here, we'd expect, want to be footballers, and that's why we do believe and we've had a lot of positive feedback from our Charlie Allens, our Dale Taylors, who've been across, and what the feedback is, that the Northern Ireland player now certainly goes across more prepared for the academy life, professional life, what's in front of them, and I believe it's huge in parts to our programme.